Alright, so I have all the paint here today. I picked it up from Pep Boys. I was lucky, it came within the next day. We got show you guys, I got 5 cans of primer, 5 cans of paint, and 5 cans of clear coat. I couldn't get the 2K clear coat, but hopefully this will work well. I'd read some reviews and it's okay. It's not as thick as a 2K. It's probably just only 1K, but hey, you know, whatever we can get our hands on. And I'm gonna go out of my way to do something nice for my parents, and we're just gonna change the oil right after all this is done. Should be pretty quick. And also I got this Acetone Cleaner. I couldn't get my hands on the wax cleaner, but this does the same thing. Acetone removes grease and wax from all glass or metal surfaces. So I'm used to clean the car, and then we'll go ahead and use a tack rag to wipe everything down, and we'll get to it. But today, I'm still waiting for the tack rags to come, so give it another day. We'll probably just vacuum the car, maybe clean the interior a little bit, and then maybe prep the car for paint a little bit more, and let's see if we can turn this car into something better. You know, I'll give you guys a before and after shot of the roof, trunk, and the hood. So let's get it. So before I started, I want to go ahead and just vacuum the car, make sure everything's clean, because my parents eat a lot in this car, and there's tons of crap and like sunflower seeds and all this junk. So I'm gonna vacuum it up, make it nice before I start prepping and painting. This vacuum is actually really nice. It's a 2 horsepower cleaner, and it does the job really well. And we're just cleaning up the tires and, you know, adding some gloss, make sure it's nice and clean and shine. Then we added some polish right here. We're gonna wax and buff out the car, just the sides, to save us some time after the hood, roof, and trunk are painted. And here's my brother Dan, and we're just putting together the car, masking it off, and using a really good 3M masking tape. We didn't receive the plastic drop bag in time, so we had to use trash bags and paper rags to just cover the car so it doesn't get any overspray, but that worked really well. And if you guys don't have anything to cover your car, and using trash bags is a really good way to go. Make sure you use the heavy duty one so it doesn't leak through and doesn't seep through and get some paint on the other parts of your car that weren't intended to be painted. And we just go ahead and tape up the moonroof right here too, and make sure it's all sealed up. And I'm applying some acetone over the primer that's already been sanded to make sure everything is nice and clean before we get started applying base coat. And make sure you use a tack rag to tack everything down, make sure there's no lint or dust on the base coat. And here I am applying the primer. Make sure you go in a left to right smooth motion. If I could go back and redo this job, I'd probably do it a little bit better, but it's my first time ever spraying, so if I had to redo this all over again, I'd probably do a better job at it. Go ahead and tack rag down the roof and do the same thing. Make sure you let the primer dry for about 10 to 15 minutes between each coat, and you can do it for about 2 or 3, 4 coats if needed. And go ahead and apply the primer again to the roof of the car. I was thinking about using a step ladder here so I get more coverage going up, but nevertheless, I think if you go in a smooth motion and get the primer on, let it dry and apply 2 to 3 coats, and you can start sanding after that. So it's the base coat that you only have one shot at, so you gotta make sure that's smooth and not runny. But for the primer, I think you should be okay as long as you get enough coverage and you know, cover the whole sanded area. And going back to the trunk, now that the primer is all sanded down, we're just doing it one quick pass, make sure it's nice and dry, and then maybe tack rag it one more time, make sure it's all settled. I think this primer I should have let dried for a longer period of time, but if you can use a primer, I recommend going with the 2K primer, which is a little more expensive, but it's higher quality. Dries a lot quicker too. Go ahead and spray back and forth in even motion, and just the first coat's gonna be kind of rough and a little bit, you know, not smooth, but that's fine. As you apply the third and fourth coat, it'll look a lot better. And we're gonna apply some coat right here over to the roof and the trunk, make sure everything is good. And that's it for this part. Make sure you guys tune in into the next episode. We're gonna wet sand and buff the clear coat, but I want to give it a week or so first before I do that, because I don't let the clear coat dry. And hope you guys enjoyed this video, and you guys can tune in and watch the other episode of my parents getting surprised with their car, but now that they've had it for so long, it's not a surprise anymore. But anyway, hope you guys had a good one, and take care. Bye.